I wanted to share an experience from one of my paranormal investigations that took place during the Christmas season. Now, obviously, it doesn't necessarily have to do with Christmas per se, besides the fact it took place during December. And the house was actually all decorated for the Christmas season. This is about my experience investigating the Park House, which is in a little small town in Ontario, Canada, called Amherstburg. It is essentially where the border is between Canada and Detroit. So this little house is called the Park House, again in Amherstburg, and it surprised me. I had heard about it being haunted. I didn't really know exactly what to expect from it, but it actually ended up being one of my favorite investigations I've ever done. For those of you who don't know or need a reminder, I'm a paranormal investigator, so I go to haunted places often to communicate with spirits. And we were investigating at the Park House, and it's a gorgeous little old historic home. It's now a museum, and we had the chance to go inside at night after hours and investigate with our equipment. And one of my favorite things about this house was our spirit box. So a spirit box is a device that we use on our paranormal investigations that essentially channels through radio stations at a very high frequency, very high rate, that all you're hearing is static, like white noise. And the concept is that spirits are able to manipulate that and speak, and the words you hear come through the static are the spirits. Sometimes it's very hard to hear, sometimes they're faint, or sometimes all you hear is static. There's no words coming through at all. But at the Park House, we had some of the most clear, constant voices come through that I've ever had come through on an investigation. And I was shocked. And it was happening everywhere. We were on the top floor, on the main floor, in the parlor. And the parlor, we expected a lot of activity to come from because that's where a lot of funerals or wakes rather would happen during that time period. So not only with potential of the deceased bodies being there, but also the parlors. Aside from that, there people would be in there to do for like gatherings and things like that. So it'd be a part of the house that a lot of people would be frequenting and hanging out in. So we expected a lot to come through at the parlor at the least, but it was just everywhere. And I remember the upstairs spirit box session was probably one of the freakiest. We also had again, just like the clearest responses, right? That, and then also in the kitchen, which is at the back of the house, we got a lot of scarier paranormal activity. And in fact, I'll start on the top floor. So when we were investigating on the top floor and we're getting all these clear responses, and it wasn't anything like groundbreaking, but things were just responding to us, right? It was just constant responses. And then we also set up our Flux 2, and that is a paranormal device that is super technologically advanced and cool. We call it a yes-no prism. It's a little triangle, and then there's two lights on either side of the triangle. And one lights up green and one lights up red. And for us, we can wave our hands in front of it, and if we wave it in front of one light on one side of the prism, it lights up green for yes. And then if we wave our hand in front of the other side, it lights up red for no. And we go into investigations and we present this to spirits and we explain like this is how this is used. And we, demonstrate by waving our hands in front of those lights, like I mentioned. And so with that demonstration with the spirits, because obviously I feel like spirit boxes are very common, but things like that are a little bit less common, especially for spirits that maybe don't have too many paranormal investigators coming through, and the Park House isn't frequently investigated. So we knew that we had to explain to the spirits. And so they were using the prism. I remember there was a couple of responses with the yes side and the no side on top of the spirit box. So it's just constant activity. And then we get into the kitchen at the back of the house and something just feels wrong. And we actually had a medium with us during this investigation, and she lives in in Amherstburg. So she had frequented and had done paranormal investigations at the park house many times before. And she had walked into that kitchen with us and she said something felt wrong.